The Afterwords. The travellers have now gone from Star Hill. They hung around for a few days to make as much of a nuisance of themselves as they possibly could, but then they got word from the BBC that they were expected in Harlech, where Mr. Doveston was organising a festival in the grounds of the castle, so they moved on. Polly Gotting did not marry Prince Charles. She, like her sister, harboured a secret passion for balding ex-musos with beer bellies and bad breath. Well, anything's possible, and she moved in with Mickey Minns. This did not upset Mickey's wife, because when the Minns got home from the gig on Star Hill, he found a note saying that she'd gone off to live in Spain, taking the contents of Minns' music mine with her. She'd apparently absconded with a Mr. Patel who ran the shop next door. Inspector Horvis did get his knighthood, but not for solving the crime of the century. He got the one Prince Charles had promised for his delicate handling of that certain little matter regarding an heir to the throne, a homeopathist called Chonky, and a dormobile named Desire. Cruel fate, as ever conspiring against the great detective, saw to it that he did not become Lord Horvis of Kew, this title apparently being held by a gentleman called Rune. The inspector became Lord Horvis of Brentford. The Queen remained kidnapped for 2 long weeks, which might appear strange, seeing as Cornelius had delivered her straight back to the palace. But by then it would seem that the various bigwigs had signed so many lucrative contracts, and the world's sympathy for the poor kidnapped Queen had already grown so great, that it was considered prudent that she remained kidnapped for just a little bit longer. It was also suggested that she might care to be kidnapped on a yearly basis, to further increase her popularity. Tuppe was interested to note that when the Queen was finally liberated, it was from a traveller's caravan on Hampstead Heath, and that the kidnappers turned out to be the very same fellows who had engaged in the skirmishes with the police outside Gunnersbury Park. He even thought he recognised at least one ex-Blue Peter presenter amongst their number. The BBC hold exclusive world rights on the liberation. The lead singer of Gandhi's Hairdryer never did get to announce his retirement. After the Holocaust on Star Hill, the band split up due to artistic differences. Some unpleasantness then occurred regarding the loss of all that uninsured stage equipment. The record company sued for breach of contract, and the Inland Revenue joined in the hue and cry and stung the lot of them for 3 years unpaid income tax. The lead singer now works as a guard on British Rail. He's never been so happy. His chums at the depot call him Smiley Colin. The world has yet to discover the truth about the denizens of the Forbidden Zones. Certain grey-bearded experts of the archaeological persuasion, who examined all that remained of the Great Hall, which wasn't much after the travellers had stripped it of all its fixtures and fittings, declared it to be a folly, probably the work of the Reverend Kemp. This being the local cleric who was buried on the very top of Star Hill, standing on his head, so that when Judgment Day came and the world was turned upside down, he would be the first on his feet. Well, it had to be his, really, didn't it? It being upside down and everything. You can still visit the ruins. The local guide, a Mr. O'Malley, is to be found at the Flying Swan. 8 hand-drawn ales on pump, snacks available at the bar, unrestricted parking in the Ealing Road. He's there most lunchtimes, and he'll be happy to show you around, for a small remuneration, of course. Naturally, there are some loose ends that just can't be tied up. The present whereabouts of Chief Inspector Brian Bulwer-Lytton, for example, last seen heading an abortive police charge against the travellers on Star Hill. His file remains open. It reads, Missing Presumed Eaten. Terence Arthur Mulligan still drives a cab, although not the one his brother's ice cream van crashed into. Terence had managed to leap from that in the very nick of time, which was lucky for him. As to the big green thingy in his cab and the occupants of the ice cream van, nothing's known. No bodies were recovered. It was almost as if they'd vanished into thin air. But what of Cornelius and Tuppe and Anna? And what of the enigmatic Mr. Hugo Rune? Cornelius Murphy now lives for part of the year in Miami, Florida. That's when he's not on his yacht or at one of his English country residences. He lives with his girlfriend Anna, his best friend Tuppe, and a succession of lady friends that the small fellow keeps bringing home after parties. They are, as the expression goes, of independent wealth. The tall boy made his first of many millions, auctioning off the automotive contents of a certain king's private car park. And of course, if you happen to be the stuff of epics and possess a reinvented ocarina, there are many other lucrative openings to be found in and around London. As for Hugo Rune, what can be said? There are those who suggest that, like Father Christmas, Rune never really existed. But there are others who swear that they have seen him water skiing with the Sultan of Brunei, arm wrestling with the Pope, and frequenting the swank offices of a certain illustrious West London publishing house. There may possibly be some substance to the last of these supposed sightings, as the word is out in literary circles that Rune is seeking to publish his memoirs. If this is indeed the case, and it probably is, then the world has not yet heard the last of Hugo Rune, guru's guru, master of the arts magical, reinventor of the ocarina, and self-appointed scourge of the fairy folk. There are 23 really wonderful things in this world. Hugo Rune knows all of them. And then some. The end. And if you enjoyed this reading of Robert Rankin's Raiders of the Lost Car Park, the Cornelius Murphy trilogy, book 2, please hit the follow button, hit the likes, let me know what you think in comments, and I look forward to reading for you again soon.